Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, and your Viceroy of Verisimilitude, Robert Meyer Burnett, and it is July 20th. July 20th has always been one of my favorite days because, as many of you might realize, it was 52 years ago today that mankind first, yes, landed on the moon. We did. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. Michael Collins orbited above. And it is a great day in human history to remember. And today, of course, this was not a coincidence. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is going to go into space with Wally Funk, a woman in her 80s. That will make her the oldest woman ever to go, or oldest person ever to go into space. Wally Funk was a member of the original Mercury 13, the group of 13 female astronauts that were being trained to follow up the Mercury 7. None of them ever made it into space. However, Wally Funk went on and logged 19,000 flight hours. And Jeff Bezos is taking his brother, Wally Funk, and an 18-year-old son of a billionaire up into space, who will be the youngest person ever to go into space. And this flight on their Blue Origin rocket will be much more extensive than the flight that Richard Branson took. This rocket will be launching at 6 a.m. today in less than 6 hours. I wanted to read a quick article from space.com written by Elizabeth Howell. The mission, which Blue Origin has dubbed the first human flight, will be the 16th flight of New Shepard, but the first with astronauts aboard. Bezos and 3 other civilians will launch from the company's Launch Site 1 near Van Horn, Texas at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in a milestone mission for the Space Tourism Company. Here's everything you need to know about the flight. The launch of New Shepard's first crewed flight will be broadcast Tuesday, July 20th, beginning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at blueorigin.com and here at space.com, if possible. Liftoff is expected at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, but could change depending on weather or technical matters. Blue Origin will hold a pre-launch press conference on Sunday, July 18th at 12. Well, they've already done that. Never mind. A typical New Shepard flight lasts 11 minutes. After the landing, a live broadcast with the astronauts will be available at blueorigin.com. The time of that press conference has not been announced, but Blue Origin will stream it live online. And at space.com will simulcast it if possible. Blue Origin has not announced if it will have a special host for the webcast, similar to rival Virgin Galactic, which recruited comedian and The Late Show host Stephen Colbert, which is all pretty exciting. So there you go. New Shepard's first crewed flight will carry 4 passengers, but no pilot, as the space capsule is an automated system. Jeff Bezos, 57, is going. Mark Bezos, 53, the younger brother, and a millionaire in his own right. He's a former ad executive and is on the leadership council of the nonprofit Robin Hood, which fights poverty. Wally Funk, a pioneered female aviator who was one of the famed Mercury 13 women tested by NASA as potential astronauts during the early days of the U.S. space program. Funk will become the oldest person to fly in space with this launch, beating the late Mercury astronaut John Glenn, who was 77 when he flew on his second mission on NASA's Space Shuttle Discovery in 1998. Oliver Damon, 18, a physics student who plans to study at the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands. Damon will be the youngest person in space on this mission, beating Russian cosmonaut German Titov, who was 25 when he flew on the Soviet Union's Vostok 2 mission in 1962. Damon is a late addition to the crew, replacing the anonymous winner of a $28 million auction for the first paid seat on New Shepard. Blue Origin announced Damon's addition to the New Shepard crew on July 15th, just 5 days before the launch. According to CNBC, Damon's father, Jose Damon, placed the second highest bid in the Blue Origin auction, an amount that has not been disclosed, and was selected to fly on this flight. Joe Stamen, a private equity firm CEO, then handed the seat to his son, Oliver. The New Shepard system is named after Mercury astronaut Alan Shepard, who was the first American to go into space in 1962. The rocket has performed 15 uncrewed tests before the July 20th flight, most recently on April 14th, when it touched on an astronaut rehearsal flight. Well, pardon me, when it launched, not touched. It is about 60 feet tall and is designed to shoot passengers into suborbital space for a weightless phase of about 3 minutes. The entire flight is typically 11 minutes long, with the rocket returning autonomously to the launch pad using a ring and wedge fins for aerodynamic stabilization. The crew members return to Earth underneath a parachute within their crew capsule. New Shepard's capsule has a maximum capacity for 6 people and includes large windows for astronauts to take in views of Earth. Alternatively, flights can include a combination of astronauts and experiments, as Blue Origin hopes to eventually have paying companies use microgravity for a few minutes to test out advances in manufacturing, physics, or biology, among other ideas. As with all their space flights, the New Shepard crew will be subject to high risk. Their 11-minute space flight will subject them to multiple forces of gravity or G-loads, especially during launch and landing. They will also sustain a few minutes of microgravity or weightlessness at the top of their parabolic flight. Some other hints of the spaceflight experience come from a terms and conditions document associated with the Blue Origin seat auction earlier this year. Among requirements, crew members had to be able to dress themselves in a one-piece zip-up flight suit and climb the launch tower, about 7 flights of stairs, in less than 90 seconds, the document states. The crew will be climbing in the spacecraft atop a launch tower, requiring no fear of heights, then sitting in a reclined seat for between 40 and 90 minutes before launch time. In case of emergency, they'll need to unstrap themselves in less than 15 seconds. Blue Origin has also boasted about its big windows that tourists can look through during their precious few moments in space. These windows make up a third of the capsule, immersing you in the vastness of space and life-changing views of our blue planet. Will the Blue Origin really reach space on the flight? There's been some conflict as to whether that was true of Virgin Galactic. This is a definite yes. Lately, Blue Origin and its competitor Virgin Galactic have been engaging in a battle for customers, especially in the run-up to Virgin Galactic's launch of its own billionaire founder, Richard Branson, on July 11th. Branson denied the companies were in competition, but Bezos remained quiet. Then, days before Branson's launch, Blue Origin released an infographic highlighting what it said are advantages in purchasing a seat on New Shepard instead of Virgin Galactic's VSS Unity spaceplane. The company's biggest bone of contention is whether Virgin Galactic crew members reach space at all. VSS Unity is designed to fly above the 50-mile, 80-kilometer boundary of space recognized by NASA, the U.S. military, and the FAA. New Shepard, by contrast, typically soars above the internationally recognized Kármán line, generally interpreted at 62 miles in altitude. Blue Origin has been bringing up the Kármán line dispute periodically over the years. We've always had as our mission that we wanted to fly above the Kármán line because we didn't want there to be any asterisks next to your name about whether you're an astronaut or not. Bezos said in 2019, that's something they, Virgin Galactic, are going to have to address, in my opinion. Blue Origin will lift off from Launch Site 1, a remote area in the West Texas desert, roughly 25 miles from the town of Van Horn. The area is largely filled with desert scrub, allowing for an incredible vista from the top of the New Shepard launch area in the hours before launch. The area is generally closed off to visits, and it will be that way even along State Highway 54 during the launch of Bezos, according to Blue Origin. That said, we can get a glimpse of the facilities in a short tour video Blue Origin previously announced. From the video, it appears the launch pad is adorned with the feather logo of the Blue Origin feather. All paying customers will have the chance to visit their spacecraft in the nearby building in which it is ready for space, the tour video states. It's probable that the crew members went through at least a little training at the facility prior to Flight 2 based on comments on the video. Blue Origin hasn't quite released yet the sequence of its future flights and when it starts to regularly carry passengers. It wasn't publicly disclosed, for example, that Damon was scheduled for the launch flight of New Shepard until he moved up a spot in the launch sequence, so it may be the other bid participants may have spots on future flights for a little while. Blue Origin has a spot on its website where you can reserve your interest for future flights. You'll receive early access to pricing information and tickets when we open reservations. So far, Blue Origin has not released seat pricing for normal paying customers. By comparison, Virgin Galactic seats retail for $250,000 a piece. So there you go. I've been a space freak since I was a little kid. I used to know all the names of the astronauts. I don't anymore. I started to get more into fictional astronauts, which is okay. I'm very excited about space. I always have been. Obviously, I'm not one of those people who says, well, Rob, we should concentrate on our problems down here. No, we should do both, because the benefits of space research, pushing the limits of all of our technologies, including aeronautics, computers, health. There's so many things, and what we learn trickles down into our society. And also, I always believe that scientific endeavor is better for everyone, especially the people that are engaging in it, and to inspire more people to turn towards STEM subject matter is always a good thing, because we certainly need it. You know, one of the things I love about space travel, it's all about truth. You can't fly to space if your science isn't truthful, and you're certainly not going to be coming home. So there's something to be said for space tourism, even though I'd like to see more emphasis put on research and that kind of thing. But it's very exciting nonetheless. Obviously, America, we haven't landed a person back on the moon since 1972, which is really hard to believe. And yes, people, we did land on the moon. For those of you who doubt, we did. And, there's more and more ways to see those landing sites as the days go by. But that's not why you came, not to listen to me wax rhapsodic about space, did you? You want to talk about Black Widow and its failure, its catastrophic failure in its second week. A lot of people are acting as if this is a good thing, which there's a weird fan backlash, a weird YouTube backlash against what people are now calling the MCU, as if, it's funny. I'm like, what's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with female superheroes. I guess because I've always been reading about female superheroes. Black Widow is not exactly some new person on the block. She's been around for quite some time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hell, one of my favorite comic books ever that Marvel ever published was Avengers Annual 10, which is the introduction of Rogue, and we met Captain Marvel, we met Carol Danvers, and what happened there. Still one of my favorite superhero comics ever, focusing on female characters, drawn by the great Michael Golden. What a book that is. Anyway, so people have been talking about the second weekend of Black Widow. There's a lot of incrimination going on that Disney's day-and-date release strategy backfired. Theater owners are pissed. Let's read about it. So Rebecca Rubin wrote this article. It was published today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Variety. Movie theater owners blame Marvel's Black Widow box office collapse on the Disney Plus launch. Obviously, Disney Plus, if you are a Disney Plus subscriber, for an extra $30, you can watch Black Widow while it's on Disney Plus as many times as you want. And they made, according to Disney, in their first weekend, $60 million off premium subscribers. Well, subscribers paying that $30 premium. So, not bad. But they did it clearly to goose those opening numbers. I mean, obviously, Black Widow has had the best opening during the pandemic, but still a fraction of the opening of Marvel movies when there is no global pandemic. Movie theater operators did not mince words in asserting that Disney left money on the table by putting Marvel's Black Widow on Disney Plus. On the same day as its theatrical debut, Disney announced in March that Black Widow, among several of its 2021 films, would premiere simultaneously on the studio's subscription-based streaming service for a premium $30 price and on the big screen, while the struggling movie theater industry regained its footing. On July 9th, Black Widow opened to $80 million in the U.S. and Canada, setting a COVID-era box office record. Disney padded the film's final weekend tally by reporting the Scarlett Johansson-led comic book adventure collected an additional $60 million worldwide on Disney+. That pushed its global haul past $200 million. 10 days after its domestic debut, the National Association of Theater Owners, the industry's main lobbying arm, released a fiery statement that takes aim at Black Widow's rollout. For measure, NATO seemed to like Black Widow, calling it such a well-made, well-received, highly anticipated movie. Still, the group says the $200 million budgeted Black Widow underperformed at the box office and on Disney+. Quote, Despite assertions that this pandemic-era improvised release strategy was a success for Disney and the simultaneous release model, it demonstrates that an exclusive theatrical release means more revenue for all stakeholders in every cycle of the movie's life, the statement said. Of course, cinema operators have a vested interest in preserving some sort of theatrical window. The pushback from NATO comes at a time when the movie business is still struggling to recover from the pandemic. Crippling efforts, film exhibitors say, is the fact that Hollywood studios are no longer putting their movies exclusively on the big screen, which is a bummer. Prior to COVID, new releases had to play in theaters for at least 75 days before moving to premium video on demand. Now that's no longer the case. Many buzzy titles to premiere in the last 18 months, including Wonder Woman 84, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Cruella, were also available concurrently on various streaming services. The two highest-grossing movies of the year, A Quiet Place 2 and F9, were initially only available to watch at multiplexes. Hollywood studios and movie theater operators have a historically contentious relationship, with the pandemic shifting the power overwhelmingly in favor of film distributors. Yes, studios need movie theaters to generate profits on a mega-budgeted tentpole, but COVID proved that without compelling content to show on the big screen, movie theaters don't have as much to offer. The hot and cold factions recently got in a public spat when several theater chains, including AMC and Regal, threatened to boycott Universal's movies after the studio flirted with the idea of day-and-date releases. They finally set aside that particular feud in the name of money. Theater owners were similarly miffed when Warner Brothers announced its entire 21 film slate would premiere on HBO Max and in theaters on the same day. Without a hybrid release, NATO predicts that Black Widow would have secured a much larger opening weekend, somewhere north of 92 to 100 million, and while the film soared past the opening weekends of recent releases like A Quiet Place 2 and F9, its ticket sales quickly dropped off. In its sophomore outing, Black Widow collected 26 million, a huge 69% decline. Or, as NATO put it, a stunning second weekend collapse in theatrical revenues. Disney declined to comment. However, insiders say the company is attempting to reach customers at every comfort level while the world emerges from COVID. It's also worth noting that the pandemic hasn't entirely abated, and even vaccinated people have expressed hesitation about returning to the movies. Adding to anxieties, the highly contagious Delta variant has driven a spike in infections and forced Los Angeles, the largest movie-going market in the country, to reinstate its mask mandate. Despite actor Vin Diesel's loud proclamation, cinema isn't entirely back just yet. In the case of Black Widow, NATO claims its financial upside isn't as robust as some initially perceived. When it comes to box office grosses, studios have to split the profits 50-50 with movie theater owners. Disney tends to get a more favorable split due to its box office dominance. It gets an even larger chunk of change from digital transactions. However, NATO highlights the studio doesn't get to keep all of the money from online rentals. Approximately 15% of the revenue goes to various platforms like Roku and Apple TV, through which consumers can access Disney+. Per NATO, early analysis of the film also failed to consider that its release on Disney Plus cuts into downstream revenues. It ignores that Premier Access revenue is not newfound money, but was pulled forward from a more traditional PVOD window, which is no longer an option, the statement reads. Combined with the lost theatrical revenue and foregone traditional PVOD revenue, the answer to these questions will show that simultaneous release costs Disney money in revenue per viewer over the life of the film. NATO adds piracy no doubt further affected Black Widow's performance and will affect its future performance in international markets where it has yet to open. According to the website Torrent Freak, Black Widow is the most pirated movie of the week. All the while, Disney Plus subscribers have the ability to share their password with other households, potentially limiting the number of individual transactions. NATO says Disney isn't alone in these particular threats. It was also the case for other day-and-date releases, such as Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat, two Warner Brothers titles that premiere on HBO Max. How much money did everyone lose to simultaneous release piracy, NATO asks. It's one of the many pressing inquiries that will remain unanswered. The many questions raised by Disney's limited release of streaming data opening weekend are being rapidly answered by Black Widow's disappointing and anomalous performance, NATO said. The most important answer is that simultaneous release is a pandemic-era artifact that should be left to history with the pandemic itself. Here's a chart: domestic weekend box office performance. As you can see, July, starting back last August, the box office has significantly risen since April. And it continues to rise, which is a good thing for the movie business. But how long that will last is anyone's guess. I personally, as you all know, I'm a fan of movie theaters. Obviously, COVID has made it difficult over the last year and a half. But I believe that a theatrical release for movies adds value, immeasurable value to the film you cannot get otherwise. Now, it just does. And I think that most people want to see movies theatrically as well. I mean, given a choice, there's a lot of people that will opt to stay home. Families, it's an expensive proposition going to movies. But I do think movies should be given a shake at the theater, especially large movies like Black Widow that are expensive. It does nobody any good if a movie like Black Widow underperforms. It's not good for the industry, it's not good for the studio, and it's not good for the people that worked on the films. I mean, when a film like Black Widow, which I thought was a respectable movie, I've heard a lot of people complaining about it, I enjoyed it. Is it perfect? No. Is it mid-level Marvel? Very probably, but I still enjoyed it. And, you know, surprisingly, the movie to me was about the relationship of two sisters reconnecting. You know, it might have been, you might have called that movie The Sisterhood of the Traveling Black Widows or something like that. And I like that. If that movie was just Yelena and Natasha getting to know each other again, rediscovering one another, and there was no action component to it at all, they were just hanging out in Europe, I would have watched that movie. I probably would have loved that movie. But as it stood, I quite enjoyed a lot of it. And kudos to them. Now, of course, there's a lot of people that are complaining about it for various reasons. But I'm not. I do think that maybe the timing wasn't correct for the movie. And part of the reason it didn't do well is simply because there's not as much interest in it as you might have thought. Because other than introducing Yelena, who goes on into the Hawkeye series, I mean, we already know what happens to Black Widow, and I thought Scarlett Johansson was great. I really liked the way it was directed. I thought there was a lot going on to love about the movie, but at the end of the day, there was something that felt a little slight about it because we know the story just didn't really matter. And that was kind of an interesting way to feel about the film. I mean, I really liked what they did. I thought Kate Shortland did a great job directing it, but at the end of the day, do we need the movie? I think part of the reason that no one's really talking about is that people just think that Marvel movies or any movie is going to just succeed just because. And I disagree with that. I think there's a lot of reasons why it might not have worked. But, you know, I think ultimately at the end of the day, there's a lot of entertainment out there. And movies aren't your only choice. So anyway, what do you think? I just put in the link to the live chat if you want to come on tonight's show. Also, I always ask everybody, hey, if you've never been on the show before, great. If you have been on the show, hang back, maybe see if someone new comes on. I don't know if they will. We shall see. It's always fun to have people come on. Ron C. Ron C. sent in a super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel that way. Ron C. writes in and asks, ooh, good question. I like this one. Ron C. says, morning midnighters. I'm a big fan of Full Moon Studios. Fun films with original stories and much more. Question, what is your favorite Full Moon film and favorite Puppet Master puppet you want to have in your collection? Well, Ron, I don't know if you know, maybe you don't. I worked at Full Moon for a couple of years. And I began my feature editing career re-editing from scratch the Full Moon movie Arcade. And I edited that film with the film's co-star Peter Billingsley. That's right, don't shoot your eye out, kid. Peter Billingsley and I worked on that film for over 6 months. Actually, I'm in a Full Moon movie. You can't recognize me because I'm in a full monster suit. I'm in the Full Moon movie The Lurking Fear. And if you want to see where I am, you can actually see me. I'm a creature in a cave, and I'm playing with a human skull and stroking it. So, I liked working at Full Moon. I like the Subspecies movies. I like the Trancers movies. I wish they would have gone on with Arcade, because Arcade did very well for them. And I wrote a treatment for a sequel to Arcade called Arcade 2 Electric Nightmare. So there you go. Now you're asking. So Arcade's got to be my favorite full moon movie. I think the Subspecies movies, Ted Nicolaus movies, are probably the best. But yeah, so Arcade's obviously my favorite. But what's my favorite Puppet Master puppet? That's a good question. You know, I'd have to. I don't remember all of the names, but I know which one. Let's see, the Puppet Master puppets. I'll tell you. I have to look. And I will tell you. The Puppet Master puppets. Let's see. Oh, it's this one. My favorite Puppet Master puppet. Blade. Blade's my favorite. I thought it was called something else, but how can you not love the Blade puppet? That's what I like the most. Blade. So there you go. And Black Phillip Alvarez, our friend Black Phillip Alvarez is going to be here, and I'm going to put him in the show. Mr. Black Phillip Alvarez, our old friend, who I have not talked to in a while. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. It's okay. Give me some time. Gives me a minute to put you in, coach. Put you into the show. Put in Black Phillip Alvarez, on our old friend Cash is here too. And I haven't seen Cash in a while. Let's put Cash in the show as well. So put Cash in, add him in, and let's see what you guys have to say. Although I don't see Cash either. Cash hasn't shown up. So, well, Black Phillip, I'm going to put you in the show. Hopefully we'll be able to hear you. Hold on, maybe you never know. Maybe we'll be able to hear you. Maybe not. I think we'll be able to hear you. I have faith, Black Phillip. I think I still can't hear you. I don't know why. You're freshly shorn too. Look at that. I want everybody to see you. You can see his face. I don't know where Cash is. Cash, you were here. Don't see you. So Black Phillip, should I put you in silent just to look at you and you can signal to us? Here, look, watch. We'll watch Black Phillip sign to us. Here's Black Phillip Alvarez. We can't hear him, but we will be able to hear him. Play charades. Let's play charades with Black Phillip Alvarez. Okay. You got to pick a word. We can't hear you, so what let's do. I've never done charades, so you got to pick something. We have to guess it. 2 words. 2 words. Playboy. You. Can we not? Movie making. Rolling Stone. Corkscrew. Crazy. Up and down. Heartbeat. Your metal. There you go. You're fucking metal. All right. Well, that's good. But why can't we hear you? I want to hear you, Black Phillip. Here, tell me when I can hear you. I'm going to put you back in. We can't see you anymore, but fix your mic because I want to put you in. Darth Plato says future ads for commercial space travel should use the clip from Contact where S.R. Haddon says, "Want to go for a ride?" Ooh, I love that. I love that movie. I love Contact. Contact is so good. Now I can hear the Canadian dude. I mean, I can only hear me now. Uh-oh, Canadian dude. I can hear me. So actually, I love Darth Plato's idea. I think that would be amazing. For those of you who have never seen Contact, first of all, shame on you. But it's one of those movies where, like, I never watch the ending. I skip over to the part with James Woods and Angela Bassett because, you know, once you've seen the ending once, it doesn't matter. But the rest of the movie, I love the entire rest of the film. I love it so much. It's so great. And Jodie Foster's great. And Matthew McConaughey's great. And Tom Skerritt's great. And John Hurt's great. Everybody's great in that movie. But I like that. Want to go for a ride? So that's James Lockman is here. James Lockman sends in a tip and says, "Aloha, Rob. Talking about space. I just donated to Omaze in their first win 2 seats on one of the first Virgin Galactic flights to space. And if I win, I get to bring a guest. Want to be my co-pilot, Chewie? I will take you, Rob, if I win. James, I will hold you to that. Yes, I'm in. Count me in. And twice on Sunday. If I can go to space, I would go in a hot minute. In a hot minute, I would go to space. Absolutely, I would go to space. So if you really want to take me, man, we'll go to space together. If you're taking me to space, I am happily going to space. Let's see. I don't know where everybody is tonight, but S Beam is here, and I believe I can actually put S Beam in the show, which should be a good change of pace. So I could do that, and we'll see if S Beam wants to go to space, but he can't take my place with Mr. Lockman. That's for me and no one else. So there you go. I'm going to space with James, because James is nice enough to invite me on that trip. Hopefully Black Phillip Alvarez will come back, but I'm going to bring in S Beam for the time being until Black Phillip Alvarez graces us with his presence, or anyone else for that matter. No one can seem to get it together. Everyone's camera's not working, but S Beam's is. So, and we'll just leave a black frame in the center in honor of Black Phillip. Maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't. But let's bring in S Beam. So S Beam, how do you feel about space exploration and the privatization of space, or theater owners and Black Widow? We got 2 great topics to discuss. Would you care to opine on either one?
Sure. I mean, space, I probably wouldn't go. It's probably too scary for me.
How can it be too scary? Come on, man.
I don't know. I'm not that interested, I guess.
Are you scared of death?
Scared of leaving my kids without a dad more than anything. But
oh, well, that's what people. That's what what's his face said. That's what Ashton Kutcher said when Mila Kunis said, "Don't go to space," because we got Kevin Welburn. But Kevin, I can hear myself. I can hear the feedback. If you got headphones or something to put it in, so we can't hear you anymore. So we can hear you, Kevin. Can hear me. But so you wouldn't go to space because you don't want to leave your kids in orphans. That's that's a pretty good reason not to go to space.
Yeah, I probably miss them too much.
I'd still go though, because I look at the upside being, if you died on the launch pad and the rocket exploded while you were in it, well, there'd be great news reports about you. People would speak well of you, because who's going to diss you if you blew up on a rocket pad?
Right.
Not many people.
If they were old enough to take care of themselves, then sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, see, I don't have kids. I got Elizabeth. She's got 2 kids. And Elizabeth, I mean, she'd be upset. She'd probably say, don't go into space. But even, she'd probably get a lot of well-wishers, and people would help her out. So she could probably be taken care of. And but you're right. I mean, as long as the family's taken care of. But, I think if you're going to go out, and you have to go out, being immolated on the launch pad of the early dawn of the space era. I know. I mean, I don't want to die
Jelena said.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool way to die.
Yeah, not good. Echo Base Network is here. So Star Wars Theory blocked you from sending messages, and we have no clue why. At least we still have you. Echo Base, you will always have me. Honnold, buddy, do you read me? Yes, you always will. You'll always have me. See you in Vegas, August 12th for the meetup. It'll be a fun night for sure. That's right. If COVID doesn't bring it all to a halt, that would suck. That would totally suck. So, Kevin, oh, good, we got you. And there's no sound. I'm going to put Kevin into this show. Do you want to go on the show, Kevin? Okay, good. I'm going to ask you about if you would go to space, not being a pussy like S Beam, who has kids. Kids. I mean, come on, kids.
Damn kids.
Hey, man, you know what? By the way, what if you did go into space? You'd be the coolest dad ever. True. I mean, you might not be a billionaire like Jeff Bezos, but you'd still be pretty damn cool.
Well, you almost have to be to get a ticket up there.
I know, right? I mean, but if Omaze helps us win tickets.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I want to do. Although I'd love to win an Omaze car before I'd want to go, because now hopefully James will be taking me anyway. So I didn't realize it until right now. I have a possibility of going to space with James. There's a slim possibility, but a possibility. Nonetheless, welcome Kelvin Wellborn to the show. Kelvin, how are you?
Hello, Rob. I am much better than I was. A bit crook last week. I don't know. Not a COVID-related thing, which was good.
And you're feeling better now?
Just a general rundown, cold, flu or something. I don't know.
So how do you feel about space? Would you go?
Well, it certainly is the final frontier, isn't it? Yes, I would probably go.
Would you be scared?
Yes, because I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah, but you can't fall when you're in space. I mean, you can fall to re-entry and burn up in the atmosphere if something goes wrong with your ship, but basically you can float around in the vacuum, just kind of chill out.
Well,
no gravity.
When you think about it, if you do blow up in the atmosphere, your body particles will remain in the atmosphere for hundreds of years.
Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years.
That's right.
So all of your loved ones could look up and go, there's Kelvin. He just orbited again.
Again, exactly.
I like that. So let me ask you both this. Do you think, first of all, space research in general, do you think it's a benefit to humanity? And what do you think about the very, very wealthy being able to buy tickets for a 5-minute shot up into suborbital space? Is it worth it? Is it ridiculous? Is it just another way the elites pull one over on the peons that have to stay on Earth? What do you guys think of the whole idea? First, is space exploration a good thing for mankind? And second, is space tourism frivolously ridiculous? What do you think, Kelvin?
I'll go first then. I think on the whole, yes, it has been a very much a, we wouldn't have non-stick fry pans, for example.
Or hair dryers.
That's right.
We need hair dryers. They needed those microfilaments to keep when the astronauts breathe out into the capsules, the condensation of the moisture. Unless those monofilaments were heating everything up, they had a real problem.
That's right. There's a lot of things that it's very exciting. I think space.
I do too.
Because realistically, if we don't start now, we'll run out of resources on the Earth one day.
It's true, although, I'm really hoping that the unvaccinated people, the Delta variant mutates and will start wiping out humanity en masse to the point where the great culling will take half the people off this planet. No, I'm kidding, of course. That's a movie plot.
Yes, I know. But it's a true fact, though, in some respects, that, I always worry about that there are too many people. But then again, you think because there's so many people, they have to make all these extra efforts. There's a lot more brain power to fix things.
Yes, I agree. No, I'm actually I'm a fan of humankind, as people know. I'm an upbeat fan of mankind, and I believe that we have the ability to solve our problems, and I think that we're at our best when things get. It's like when it's like what Jeff Bridges said in Starman, that humanity was at its best when things were at their worst. And that's when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Well, you think about World War II, for example, and how much the people were able to achieve by banding together in a time of crisis.
Yeah.
And it's the same when there's a natural disaster, whether it's a bushfire or a flood or a hurricane or something. People really get together and able to do a lot of things. And so I think space would be something that could happen like that too.
Now, are you in Australia?
Yes, I am. A very important part of the entire space machinery.
Oh, absolutely. Especially like in The Right Stuff. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is set in Australia. Now, where in Australia are you again?
Melbourne.
You're in Melbourne. You're where Justin is, where I stream with Justin Kane.
We discussed Mr.
We
Justin,
did.
And I don't know him, but I have to seek out his shop one day when I've got time to go there.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have a shop. He goes to
He doesn't have a shop?
No.
Yeah, because I know another guy named Aaron Challenger who he's just started a shop, actually, of comics and, books and figures and things like that. So...
I need to come down to Australia, if only to drink Penfold's wine and drink Cooper's beer.
Penfold's wine, lovely. Cooper's beer, that's not bad from South Australia. I mean, don't drink Foster's. It's awful.
Oh no, I don't. I drink and I only drink VB if that's the last thing they have. I know, man.
Yeah.
But I will say this: VB on tap is better than VB in bottles.
Oh, it is. Yes, that's true. Yes, it's something to do with the aeration or something.
Yeah. Although I did like Cooper's when I spent a year there in Sydney, and I drank a lot of Cooper's. I enjoyed it.
Oh, it's better than the Tui's in Sydney.
Yeah. So what about US Beam? I mean, if space in general, how do you feel about it?
I feel it's a great thing to explore. I mean, as far as expanding our knowledge of what's around us, and honestly, it's high time they do something to try to clear that clutter up there too. If you're gonna be able to get up there.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I saw Gravity. I know what can happen when the
clear
wrong
that stuff out. If you're able to get up there to do it, just clear that stuff out.
Clear that up. Got to do that. So let me ask you this:
a good vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I know they're going to make that. Jeff Bezos will probably make the space vac. Get all that. Of course, when space debris is traveling at 17,000 miles an hour, it's a little hard to, you got to match speed with it before you can start picking it up.
Yep,
that's right. Otherwise, you're just going to smash holes in your catching device.
So what do you guys think about the whole Black Widow situation? Should it have made more money? Is it a failure? Did you guys like it? I mean,
I haven't seen it yet because I was supposed to have seen it on Saturday, but because of our current lockdown again,
right?
My free session was cancelled. So they're rescheduling it for some other time, I hope. But I had mixed feelings about the show because, there's been a bit of negativity, but I think, yourself has been a little bit more positive about it. There's been a little bit more positivity. So I thought, yeah, well, I mean, it's too late. It should have been done years ago, the movie.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's interesting because when I go into movies, my predisposition is to like a movie anyway. But I really liked it. I mean, and I thought what was really interesting about it is it was like a family spy drama, and in a way, there was a movie I really liked in the '80s called Running on Empty. That was about these '60s radicals that sort of hid, and they had kids, and the kids were growing up, and the kids didn't know their parents were former radicals that accidentally killed police officers by accident or something, and it was like, what was it, Christine Lottie and someone else, and River Phoenix was in it.
Yeah, I was thinking River. No, I haven't seen that movie in a long
Oh no,
time.
I haven't seen it, but I think there's a lot of things that Black Widow reminded me of, and I liked it. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I was it a perfect film? No, but I like the fact that it was shot on real locations. There wasn't a lot of green screen in it until sort of the end of the movie. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I mean, I do like the fact that it was directed by Kate Shortland, who's an Australian.
Yep. And she was championed by Scarlett Johansson herself. As a producer, I think that was her big contribution. She brought in Kate Shortland to direct the film, and I thought Kate Shortland did a pretty good job. And, I enjoyed it. It's funny to me because I think that, we're now in a place where people aren't even really looking at the movies anymore, as for what they are. You have to judge a movie for what it is. And I don't have a problem that they bring more female characters into the Marvel universe. And, I didn't think that Black Widow, these were highly trained assassins. They have their uteruses ripped out, they're brainwashed, they're highly trained assassins. So the idea that, somehow men are secondary to these women, everyone's secondary to them, including other women. So to me, right. I'm like, these are trained assassins. I mean, yes, do they lean heavily into the fact that these women are also, like in the movie Red Sparrow, like Jennifer Lawrence, trained to use their sexuality as well? No, the Marvel Universe doesn't go there. The Marvel Universe, hell, when Loki kissed Sylvie and Loki were like, oh my God, a kiss in the Marvel Universe. But I mean, when you really think about it, there's not it's a 4-quadrant. Really, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a family franchise, and they did they pushed the limits with Black Widow. I mean, how far can they get? How far do you get to go into the PG realm? But
My only problem I've had is that I don't have Disney Plus, so I haven't even seen WandaVision or
that's what a
Falcon.
VPN's for, Calvin. Come on. Oh wait, did I say that?
It's a shame.
No, I prefer like physical media.
Me too. Hey, that's V for Vendetta. I have that.
That's right.
Is that the 4K?
It is.
Great movie.
Nice. That's a good movie.
It is. That's one of those ones. I haven't opened that one yet.
What?
I know. It's terrible of me. Shocking.
And that's, wait a minute, is that the actual, that's the 5-disc set, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you got that's, if it wasn't for the lovely, lovely Emma Bannon, I would not be in possession of that because it's sold out. Yes. Joel Rice sends in an on-set super sticker, a director's chair super sticker. Thank you for that, Joel. I hope, I want to be on set one more time. I actually was. That's not true. I was on set today. I was filming my segment, or one of my segments, in the 1982 Greatest Geek Year Ever documentary. And I was being directed by Roger Lay Jr., who I work with on the Star Trek Blu-rays, and I was being interviewed by Mark Altman, who I made Free Enterprise with. And that was fun. And I got to meet David Snyder, who I'd met before, our art director, who was going to do the art direction on Free Enterprise 2. He was being interviewed before me. He was the art director of Blade Runner. So it was good to see David again today. So that was fun. Doing John's show, doing Fully Articulated, working on Tango Shalom, then running off to do an interview, and now doing this show because I'm not busy enough. But what are you going to do?
You don't have enough hours in the day.
So I wanted to ask, on an unrelated note, I got to ask S. Beam, what did you think of all of the Hot Toys announcements? Did you see them today? Everything that Hot Toys announced, the Star Wars figures, and what about the announcements last week? Did you have any favorites? Did you want to? Are there things that tickle your fancy?
Sideshows was a little lackluster, I think, as far as 6-scale figures go. But
do you think just because we haven't seen them yet, they're going to release more?
I hope so. There's actually, they got their YouTube stuff queued up. They're ready to go every other day. Hopefully there's another booth thing on Wednesday and Friday, but I don't know for sure. So hopefully we get a taste of some more Marvel stuff from Hot Toys.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've shown, I can't imagine they're going to show us things that we don't know that we're getting. Yeah. I mean,
because all they showed was the Star Wars today.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's because Hot Toys announced they've showed a lot. Obviously the Black Widow from Black Widow, the regular suit, not the snow suit, which looked great. I'm going to get that Black Widow. Mm-hmm. I just am tired of waiting a year and a half. I mean, the Boba Fett with the throne comes out in 2023.
You want them to crank them out faster.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not my wallet doesn't want to, but I mean, it's so weird. Like, I could be dead then. I can only imagine.
Like, there'll be a package for you, and you won't be there to pick it up.
Yeah, I won't be there. Somebody will get it and be like, "What the hell's this?"
And throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
What's your worst nightmare? What's your worst nightmare that's going to arrive if you're not there to collect it?
My Millennium Falcon cockpit from Jazz Inc. I mean, I paid that off in May of 2020. Like, that was 14 months ago. And I can't wait. I can't wait for mine. I want it so bad. I don't think I've wanted anything I don't think I've wanted anything this bad since a toy when I was a kid. I mean...
Yeah, I've only sort of collected sort of Doctor Who related Daypole action figures from a long time ago, but I haven't really bought anything for years.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got a couple.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I can't buy anything anymore. You get to the point where you're on the downside of life, and
it's like I've got Dead Again on DVD, which I haven't seen for I don't know 14, 15 years or something.
Yeah, and that just came
out.
The
Blu-rays just came, and I'm thinking, do I actually want to buy the Blu-ray?
I didn't pick it up yet, but I want to because that's from an Australian company.
Imprint, that's right.
Imprint, and Imprint's doing a good job. I mean, Imprint, I got When Worlds Collide from Imprint. I never thought I'd see that. And Imprint's scoot that over a little bit, so I can't see it. We can't see. No, the other way. Go in front of your face. There you go. Is that Arch Obler's 5?
It is.
Arch Obler's 5. I used to love that movie when I was a kid.
It's a,
People,
I mean,
people are now going, wait, what?
I watched it a few weeks ago, but
How is it? Does it hold up? I haven't seen it in 30 years.
I have to say, unfortunately, I was with some friends and everyone was talking, so I have to watch it again. It's the danger.
Could you tell the folks at home, give them the broad strokes about what 5 is about?
Well, there's basically 5 people. I think at least 2, maybe 4 of them are known to each other or something. I think. And somebody else just sort of wanders in from the desert because they're all sort of like in the mountains, probably Bronson Canyon or somewhere like that.
Right. Like it's. He also directed a movie called The Bubble that came out on Blu-ray in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of the 3D craze. Actually, one film I really enjoyed out of the 3D craze, but I don't have a 3D TV, was a film called The Maze, which came out last year. I loved that. That was great.
I have a 3D TV. My 3D TV, I bought it in 2013. I love it. I hope Black Widow comes out in 3D on Blu-ray because I'll get that. I have all the Marvel movies in 3D. Home 3D is great. It's so much better than theater because unless you're seeing laser projection, all the 3D in the theater was always too dim. They never kept the bulbs. You got to crank up you got to put new bulbs in and get it all bright for 3D because the light's cut in half. So
yeah.
So let me ask you, S-Beam. So none of the things tickled your fancy though. You didn't answer the question from last week.
Just not from this one. Not from Sideshows, but from the Hong Kong one, King Shark.
Yeah, come on.
He's like the only one I want now. King
really?
Shark, and I did pre-order the Mark 1 through Sideshow because I had points. But
yeah, because it's great. You gotta get.
It's the one I've been waiting for out of the Mark series. So
yeah, I mean, I think that it's funny because I sold the first 3 Iron Mans, the Mark 1, the Mark 2, and then the regular Iron Man when they first came out. I had them, and then I sold them to a friend of mine. So getting those back, I mean, I love the Iron Man diecast figures, and getting that Mark 1 in diecast is going to be great.
Everybody complains how short it is.
Yeah, and I've loved Justin streaming with him on his stream the other night. He explained how that isn't just simply not true. I loved it. Loved it. So, Kelvin, do you collect Hot Toys figures? I mean, you look like you have a lot of physical media there.
I have 8,000 DVDs, Blu-rays, and I've gone berserk on 4K since November when I bought a 4K TV and a 4K player.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Being that you've done that and you have such an extensive collection, way more than I do you think 4K is worth it?
Yes, I do.
It is.
I was absolutely blown away by the Suspiria 4K.
Dude, that was like Don May's life's work at Synapse. That Suspiria disc is amazing.
The color, the sound. Oh, talk about, my God, the sound was
Goblin
just so...
soundtrack,
What
that
else?
first murder sequence when the woman falls through the stained glass with the music.
And the other one I really thoroughly enjoyed, which I haven't seen for years, was The Shining. Yep. I thought that looks so beautiful.
Yeah, those Kubrick 4K discs are amazing. Clockwork Orange is coming out, so
I have to give that another go. I've always felt a bit negative about that film. It's a bit like The Shining as well. I always felt a little negative about it for some reason.
Did you feel negative about it when you watched the 4K?
No.
See, right? There you go.
See, I always think, I used to have this saying about DVD, it made it come alive, because VHS was so ordinary.
Terrible. So, S-Beam, do you collect physical media?
Not much anymore.
Just action figures?
I'm starting to get back into it, though. I like steel books, so I get steel books every once in a while. I was just looking up, because I just thought I heard something about Clockwork Orange. It turns, what? It's got an anniversary this year, doesn't it?
Yes, it's 50 years old this year.
50 years old, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's why it's coming out on 4K. I have an original
really
movie
cool.
poster. I have an original Clockwork Orange movie poster. It's what's called the 6 sheet. It's 81 inches by 81 inches.
Geez, that's really huge.
It's huge. It's gigantic. It's original, and it's in 4 pieces. So back then they couldn't print a poster that big, so they'd print it in sections. So when you want to get it framed, you have to have it mounted on linen. You get it archival mounted on linen, and they mount the 4 pieces and then frame it all. I have a couple of I have a 4 sheet of Soylent Green, or pardon me, a 6 sheet of Soylent Green. I have lots of big. It's called big paper, big movie posters.
I've only got a couple of movie posters. One is a reissue of Casablanca, a 1 sheet. I think it's just
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah, I used to collect 1 sheets. I kind of got rid of them because everybody had 1 sheets. So I've got a few left. Like in my bedroom, I have Elizabeth allowed me to hang up my original Dr. No 1 sheet. So I have an original archival mounted Dr. No that's in really good condition. So that's from 1962. But I used to have a huge poster collection, and all my big posters I actually sold to a company called The Third Floor that does all the previs for all the big Hollywood movies. They bought my entire collection.
Oh, well, yeah.
All my Bond movies they bought, and I only had, I had 3 sheets. I was collecting 3 sheets, which are 41 inches by 81 inches, so they're half of a 6 sheet. And they bought my original Star Wars, my original Empire. They bought my Bond. They bought Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and Diamonds Are Forever. They bought my Dirty Dozen and my Great Escape, and they bought things I should never have sold, like my original Italian Dawn of the Dead, and my original.
What you and Dawn of the Dead? Disappointing.
I couldn't. I sold that. And I sold my Mask of the Demon with Barbara Steele, which you could never get again. But my biggest poster sale, the posters that I sold that were my most valuable posters, I sold them to Steven Spielberg.
No.
I sold my Bicycle Thief poster, or Bicycle Thieves, my original Italian Bicycle Thieves poster, and I sold him my La Dolce Vita through a broker. I needed money for my Avid. This was like back in 2006. I owed like $35,000 on editing my editing systems back when I was making a ton of money, and I sold them. So I was like, I had to pay for the. It was either send back the editing systems or keep the editing systems and sell the posters. So I'm like, nah, 2 pieces of paper or the editing system.
Oh,
Now I have none. Now that editing system is way outdated. The computer I'm talking to you on now is much more powerful than what I had back in 2006.
It's amazing when you think about those sorts of things.
Now I can buy a hot toy and I figure I've done something good. Life has changed. The world has changed since it was 15 years ago. But that's okay.
You're right. So it is a long time ago when you think about it now.
I know, man. So tell me more. Space Program or Black Widow? What do you guys think? What do you guys think of day and date movies? Are you still excited about going to the movies or not?
I am, but it's a concern. I have seen 2. I've seen A Quiet Place Part 2.
What'd you think?
I thought it was good, but I was a little bit worried about them having parallel storylines, sort of cutting between the sort of 2 or 3 of them with sort of a little start, sort of a stop-start, and it just didn't. And I really felt that we should have had more about the island at the end. Like, I know that actor, whatever his name is, I've forgotten.
Cillian Murphy?
Oh, yeah.
No,
anyway,
no, not Cillian Murphy.
The guy at the end, from Blood Diamond.
Jaimin Hansu.
Yeah. He didn't even have a name,
Yeah, but he's always good, man. Blood Diamond. See, when people say Blood Diamond, I'm like, no, he's from Gladiator.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Yes,
he's
true.
Gladiator.
Mm-hmm.
He is,
but not yet.
No,
yet.
No. So, Space, yes, good thing. But I don't know about billionaires competing against each other, though. That's sort of a bit of a...
Yeah, but billionaires and rich people have always driven exploration and industry.
Well, that's true, because your country was founded by people leaving England and wanting to make a few bucks.
That's right. You know, that's
my country was founded by somewhere that the fact that they needed somewhere to dump their convicts.
Yeah, but you know, Australia's a pretty great place. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I love Australia. If you haven't been to Australia, you need to go. I think Sydney's one of the great cities of the world. I know people in Melbourne. I was like, Melbourne's way better than Sydney. I know.
I always say Sydney's a nice place to visit. But
yes.
I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, I lived there for a year, and I love Sydney. It's a very cosmopolitan city. It's very, very beautiful. The food's really good. The people are great, and girls are beautiful.
Yes, that's right.
I'm a big fan. So.
But I have to say that having tuned into YouTube over this last 12 months or so, I've changed my opinion about the United States. I will come and visit there one day.
You mean you wouldn't before?
Yeah, I was a bit like, you know, what probably stems from was when I was a kid and watching films like The Warriors and Our Class of 1984.
Dude, those are, by the way, that was in Canada, man. Come on, you know.
But you know what I mean.
I love
gangs everywhere.
Yeah. Well, Rumblefish is a period piece, a great movie. Class of '84 is one of my favorite '80s exploitation movies. Class of '84 rules. It's really, really good. And you know what's really funny? Timothy Van Patten, the gang leader, who's a great gang leader, went on to become a huge TV director. He directed many episodes of The Sopranos and became a director for HBO. But Class of '84...
He would have had a good backgrounding for The Sopranos to gone through.
Yeah, but I can understand that. Look, The Warriors is one of my favorite movies. Class of '84. I love a good gang movie. Rumblefish is another great, based on a S.E. Hinton, but Rumblefish is a gorgeous... I'd love to get that on 4K. I mean, I've got the Criterion version, and I have the UK... There's a UK version. That's a beautiful, beautiful film. It's fantastic.
But I do have one thing I have to ask you about is body melt.
What would you like to ask me about that?
Well, I actually have to say, I actually went to a screening 4 or 5 years ago when the restoration came out. They had a showing of the film with the director and 2 of the stars.
What I would love to have been there.
Ian Smith, who plays the mad scientist dude, and Vince Gill was there. And it was a magnificent evening.
For those of you who don't know, Body Melt is an Oz-sploitation movie.
I think it's really the last one is what I always think myself of the classic sort of period that began in the 70s.
Yeah, with movies like Stone, the motorcycle movie, the Mad Max films. I mean, even Peter Weir doing the Cars That Ate Paris, Wake and Fright. You know, there's a lot of great Oz-sploitation movies, but Body Melt is a total campy body horror film. It's like Cronenberg meets Reanimator, kind of, and it deals with the health craze. And I'll tell you, Elizabeth is fond of telling this story, but when we first started dating, I'd always wanted to see Body Melt, and I'd never seen it. And a company put it out on DVD here, so I ordered it, and it was a DVD rip off a VHS tape. It was really bad.
Ooh.
And so I brought it over to her house when she lived in Los Feliz, and I said, listen, I know this isn't your thing. This is an Australian exploitation movie. I thought it would be fun if we watched it together. And I had to explain. Now, Body Melt is not campy like Sharknado is.
No,
it's
deadly serious.
Yeah, but it is like there's a lot of humor in it. It's Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. It's got that, and there's a lot of funny Australian humor in it. but it's a serious movie that it's got great over the top gore and violence, and it's a satire. And I have to say that watching it, like, I was really loving it. Elizabeth hates. She's like, "What is this shit?" Like, I just started dating her. She's like, "Why, you with your erudite sense of film, why are you showing this garbage to me?" And I'm like, "Listen, man, I didn't know." But I was like watching it, and I was loving watching it. I'm like, this is awesome. And then, of course, Vinegar Syndrome put out a beautiful. We didn't get that restoration here until a couple of years ago, and they put out the Blu-ray. It's gorgeous. That
Yeah, I have the other Blu-ray I do, which came out here locally.
Yeah.
So
The Vinegar Syndrome disc is, though, it's probably mostly ported over from that, I would imagine. But man,
yeah, I think
it's a great. See, in America, that movie's virtually unknown. I had read about it, and I think in the last 20 years, I think I'm the only person I've ever
I'll
met.
tell you something that's important about the movie, which gives an added frisson, if you like, to Australians, is the star, Gerard Kennedy. He plays a detective in this show, right? Well, he began nearly his career in a TV series, called Division 4.
Okay.
And he plays Detective Sergeant Banner. And he actually plays it in Body Melt exactly the same way.
So it's like a sequel.
It is.
I love that. Well, what's funny is people forget how vibrant the Australian movie industry was. Like the 70s, you had Peter Weir making The Last Wave and Picnic at Hanging Rock and Cars That Ate Paris, and then there was movies like Stone, and which I have here. I have that on Blu-ray as well. And there was even that documentary that came out about Australian experts. Yeah,
not quite Hollywood. Actually, there's an extended cut that's been released. I haven't bought it yet.
No, it was good stuff. I mean, I really liked all that. And the craft, I mean, you look at, like, I love the original Mad Max, but when you get to Road Warrior or Mad Max 2, that's a world-class piece of filmmaking. I mean, it doesn't get much better in terms of
that's why it's
cinema.
important, because I go back to, they've been releasing these TV series from the 60s because all of those filmmakers like Vince Monton, the cinematographer, George Miller, worked on all these TV shows because that's where they cut their teeth.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's I have to say one thing I always enjoy is oh God, I've forgotten now what the hell the movie. It's called. Why is it? I hate it when your brain just suddenly blanks out and you're thinking, what's
Well, you do have 8,000 movies. Come on.
Oh, that's true. Yes, that's very true. I think it's they made it. Oh, it's not Patrick. They did do a remake.
Patrick, there's another remake. There's another Australian exploitation.
Yeah, they did a remake as well with Dominic. No, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, whatever it was. Anyway, it wasn't that great.
By the way, Comic Quirks with Jimmy says, today is the first time I got paid to make a promo video for someone. It's a crazy feeling. Well, first of all, Comic Quirks,
Nice.
Congratulations. You got paid to do video work for somebody. Always a good feeling, because you know what? Most people want video work done for free now. Hey, man, it'll be good for your portfolio.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Don't listen to that shit. You know what else is good for my portfolio? My dick, as in fuck you. My portfolio. Don't do that. Don't do work for someone. Don't do work for people because it's good for your portfolio. I hate that. Anybody who says that, no.
No, they need their head read, really.
Comic Quirks, you go. Congratulations. It's always a good feeling. I hope you got paid today and it's not net 90. You don't have to wait 90 days for your invoice to be paid.
No, that's right. We want things to happen. Just trying to wish that I could work out what this. movie I was thinking about. Oh God! Sometimes you hate it when your brain just doesn't. Ah, well.
How
Oh,
about
there it is.
Turkey Shoot?
That's the one I was thinking about. Yes.
Come
You
on.
know,
Do
that
I know
has.
what I'm talking about or what?
Yes, you do.
Turkey
You
Shoot
Wonderful
absolutely
guess.
with
know.
Steve Railsback and Olivia Hussey.
Linda Stoner. Um, also, what's his
That
name? He was
movie
in
has
Mad
one of the
Max.
the toe cutter was it the
Yeah,
toe, yeah who was Morton Joe in Fury Road.
that's
Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Escape 2000 has one of the greatest pieces of gore I've ever seen, and it's a torso, a guy's torso exploding when he gets hit by ordnance.
the other thing. I always think it was the first time I saw a man being cut in half by a a tractor thing.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
crazy.
in America, it was not released as Turkey Shoot.
No, that's right.
It's called Escape 2000. And if you like Battle Royale or the Hunger Games,
This is it for
Brian
you.
Trenchard Smith directed Turkey Shoot, and you have to see it. Because, man, they don't make movies like that anymore.
It's the first time I went to the video store.
I can't believe we're both drinking ZVS, Beam.
Cherry cola.
Dude,
That's my favorite one.
come on, bruh.
Is
I
it
mean-
nice?
You know, I have to say, John drinks it all the time, and Elizabeth just brought it home for me just randomly the other day, thinking I didn't know about it. It all kind of tastes the same. Like, I love the cream soda, and it's different enough, but it's almost like the flavor kicks in the aftertaste. Yeah. When you first put it in your mouth, it all tastes the same.
Actually, speaking of beer, it just reminded me that we did have Duff beer.
Yeah, I didn't.
It wasn't a very good beer, but I still haven't one empty can before the 20th Century Fox cracked down on the producers of this beer
Yeah.
for copyright.
No, the one thing I love about Australia is everybody was always pretty friendly. You know, I enjoy the Australian people a great deal. There's a lot to be learned. There's a lot to be learned from you people. What do you mean, you people? I mean, you people.
Anyone, everywhere.
That's right.
Could be good people everywhere. I mean, I've never really run in. Actually, the only time that ever happened to me was when I went to London, 1997 or 98. I went on a walking tour, the Jack the Ripper walking tour, at night time.
Oh, so you're going to meet a lot of nice people out there.
Well, there was some poor bloke who had lost his job and he was hurling abuse at the members of this group, calling us, foreigners, go home. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm a white person.
You're from a Commonwealth country, too. Come on now.
Right. I think, anyway, shortly afterwards, the police van rolled up and dragged him off.
Maybe he just
He obviously had a few. He'd had a few to drink, I think, because his mate came around afterwards and apologised, and that's how I know he lost his job. And
oh yeah,
but that's the only time I ever had racism hurled at me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the more important thing is to be racist against Australians. If I was in London, I'd be like, come on, you just bring down our whole erudite society. You Aussies.
Well, that's right, because we all leave here and go there to make more money and have a good time ever since the 1960s.
Yeah, well, I mean, in California, we have there's a big ski area that's about 5 hours northeast of LA called Mammoth Mountain. And I used to go there all the time and ski during the winter. And my ex-wife and I skied all the time. And everyone that works there, they're all Kiwis and Aussies. Because they're all kids that are traveling, and it's great. I mean, it's great.
That's
they're
right.
all, and it's the winter is your summer, so they're all there.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you used to be able to get 6 months without even having a visa.
Right. Yeah. So everybody goes to work at Mammoth, and it's all, and everybody was having a good time.
That's right. Why not?
You know, unless somebody brings up the All Blacks, and then people would be like,
oh yeah, they'll have a fight probably.
when the footy's on, it's just like you can't talk about the footy. You can't talk about that.
No,
So.
especially not with our cousins across the ditch.
No, you mentioned the All Blacks, and then shit's gonna go down.
That's right.
And I lived in New Zealand for a while too. So when I was in New
Actually,
Zealand, I was all about the All Blacks. But then
I actually I do have a recommendation for you, which is a New Zealand comedy series called Wellington Paranormal.
Dude, I'm dying to see it. It's part of what they do in what we do in the shadows. It's part of that franchise. I can't wait. I
believe it's been launched in the US in the last few days.
I think it is, and I haven't seen it. But look, I love the What We Do in the Shadows series. I love the movie.
I've still got to go back and see that.
Have you seen the movie?
No, I've got to go back and see that.
It's Taika Waititi. The movie is so good, but so is the series. And I can't wait to see what it's called.
Series.
Oh my God, it's so good. Well, it's called Wellington Paranormal. Is that what it's called?
Yes, it's basically, that's right. There's two police officers who are assigned. They actually are the same characters that they played in what they did in the Shadows or whatever it's called.
Yeah. And they were going to make a sequel to What We Do in the Shadows, the movie called We're, WE''RE, We're Wolves. And I was like, why aren't they going to do We're Wolves? I want to see We're Wolves. Where's that movie?
I think they're making paranormal.
I know, but the characters in the movie, there are werewolves in the movie and What We Do in the Shadows.
What is very important to watch when you watch that show is the credits. Because even though they use the same footage, they have like newspaper headlines and they're all different. Like you might see what appears to be Nosferatu, but he's complaining about being victimized or something.
Well, he was a character in the original What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, there you are.
Yeah.
But if you know Wellington, you'll get a kick out of.
Oh, well, that's where I lived. I lived in Wellington on and off for 3 years. So it would be great to from 2003 to 2006. I went right from New Zealand to Australia. I left New Zealand. We were in New Zealand for 14 months on Narnia after being on Lord of the Rings, and then I went to Australia for Superman Returns. So from 2002 to 2000, at the end of 2005, I was in New Zealand and Australia, which is great. I'd go back in a second.
Oh, I actually am fortunate that I have a friend of mine who I met through Doctor Who convention here in Sydney years ago now, 25 years ago or something. And so I'm always popping over, staying a few days, hanging around. So I go over every, 4 or 5 years or something.
Oh, it's great.
But man, he was very helpful because he could take me all to the Lord of the Rings locations and the Hobbit locations and stuff like that. Because he knew, it's amazing how much, when I think about it and what he said, you go to these little places and Peter Jackson makes like Helm's Deep look so enormous, and yet it's this little quarry.
Yeah, it's a little, yes. And well, I'll tell you, my favorite location that I went to was for Narnia, where the final battle happens, and it's a place called Flock Hill that's outside of Christchurch on the South Island. And, we stayed in this really cool place in Christchurch, and we'd have to drive up the mountain every day. And when you got up there, it was just this staggeringly beautiful location. It was incredible. And when we got there, they had like 6 Huey choppers, and you'd have to be choppered into the battle location. And all the helicopter pilots are insane. So they're like, do you want to take the cool way or the short way? And everyone's like, the cool way. And they'd be flying right above the rivers. It'd be like being in Vietnam in a war movie. And you're like going, oh, my God. It was incredible. And what was so funny was you just had those helicopters at your disposal. You'd be like, yeah, I got to go back down to base camp. Can you take me down? Yeah, sure. And they just had the rotating. And they're like, do you want to get some good footage? And we're like, yeah. We're hanging out the side of the helicopters with our cameras as they're flying. It was the best thing ever. It was great. The funniest thing was on Narnia, they had a cover set, so because there was all the time there was weather, and it was a giant green screen stage, and it was big. It was like the size of a football field, and it was totally enclosed. And one day, this storm comes rolling in like it was out of a movie, like Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. You open the Ark of the Covenant, and this storm rolls in. It rolls right down between these two mountains, and it just came, and that cover set, it just swept it off, because it's like a temporary building. It just took it right off the mountain and just threw it, and tossed it off the hill. And you're just looking at it, going, "Oh my God!" And it was crazy. That was a crazy time.
Oh, yeah,
It
sounds
was
awesome.
strange.
It was all good. Well, gentlemen, before I send you away, before I wish you into the cornfield like in the Twilight Zone, do you have any parting thoughts you want to say before I bring some more people on the show?
I will bring one thing up about which I learnt from the showing of Body Melt, was that the poor director had a rough time, and he's never made another film since.
I relate to that. Well, why did he have a tough time? Did he say
I think
why?
he had interference, I think, from the producers or something like that. I think I can't quite recall, but the distributor or something happened, and yeah. I mean, I do relate. I've only ever invested in a film once, and this was about 20 years ago. And
Did you make any money back?
No, we were ripped off by Village Roadshow, I think, our production company.
Wow. Well, at least you got ripped off by people that knew what they were doing.
That's right. I know. So they took all our money. Then we had to try and raise more money to actually get the film made. But then the completion guarantee failed, and the film print is locked in a vault somewhere.
Did it ever get shown?
No.
I'm sorry to hear
I've got a videotape of some of the second unit stuff that they had and sent out as a promotional gift thing. And it was called The Drover's Boy, written and produced by Ted Egan, a singer-songwriter bloke. But yes, very disappointing. But the only good thing is I get to claim it on my tax return each year.
Yeah, it's a loss. Yeah. And you like that. I have something like that. 16 years. You can do it for here in like 16 years. The 2008 subprime mortgage crisis is still paying me back in tax returns. I mean, it sucks to lose money, but still, hey, you want to keep writing it off every year? Yes, I do.
That's right.
That's a bummer.
It is.
Well, what about you, S-Beam? Any final words of wisdom to offer the folks at home?
Well, if what Justin said is true about Toys Wonderland changing their rewards program, then Sideshow better be a little worried, because that's a whole new ball game right there.
Oh,
Sideshow! Is it a goods rewards program? That's what I always ask myself.
Currently, it sucks because you pay for a voucher that you can spend only on a certain amount of Hong Kong dollars. It's a $200 voucher, but you have to spend at least 2,000 Hong Kong dollars to get on your figure. So, but if they change over to the way Sideshow's doing it, then
Sideshow's basically declared war on Toys Wonderland.
Yeah,
they're going after them legally. The Sideshow is literally trying to destroy Toys Wonderland, and I'm very disappointed in Sideshow's methodology. I don't understand it.
I'm a firm believer in good competition amongst people, because then you get good products.
Yeah, I mean, I like Toys Wonderland, and I've always liked Sideshow. I've been buying from Sideshow toys for. I was looking into it. I mean, I've been buying from them for my order history goes back 12 years with Sideshow.
Me for the past.
I heard your little tale of woe this morning. 2009, and it was the Sweeney Todd.
That was it. That was my first, my Johnny Depp Metacom Sweeney Todd figure, which is actually I'm looking at the cabinet it's in right now. I'm like, those Metacom figures I used to buy, I don't buy them anymore, but now because they've all gone to the Mafex figures, and they're good. But I like those Metacom figures, but they always broke. They always got brittle. Although I gotta say,
Rocketeer.
this is a Metacom figure. I love this figure, and of
Beautiful.
all of the Metacom figures, this figure, a lot of people say that it hasn't disintegrated. Mine, I've been very lucky with this. This is the first. They did a second iteration of this where he comes with a gun and the gum that goes on the back. But this is the first iteration of this figure.
I'm sure you could chew your own bit of gum and stick it there if you wanted to.
I could, but I didn't. It's funny because one of the things I saw that I guess I couldn't afford it in 2009 because of the subprime mortgage crisis was Sideshow did a premium Rocketeer statue, and I had pre-ordered it and then I canceled it. I don't know why, because I love the Rocketeer, and now
It is a great movie. I love it myself.
Yeah, and the costume designer Marilyn Vance, who was the costume designer on this film, she was on The Untouchables. She hired me. I do her podcast now, her Designing Hollywood podcast. I host it, and it's been amazing. I love doing it, and she thought it was hilarious that I had an action figure of. Because, people in Hollywood really don't, especially people that work in the different departments, they don't understand that fandom would care. And when I showed her, I'm like, look, I have an action figure of your costume. She couldn't believe it. So,
Did she ever show you the actual costume designs? Like, did she keep them on file? Or
she has some. A lot of it she gave to I think she gave it to UCLA. She gave a lot of her work to UCLA.
Yeah.
But I always tell her, I said we have a term in America called Eurotrash, and I said because she did the costume design for Die Hard, and I said Hans Gruber and his terrorists define Eurotrash. I mean,
I do.
They're the greatest. They're the greatest dressed. The villains. I mean, that one dude who's got the perfect long hair. Yeah, the West German Volksfrei movement.
I'm glad that Dieter Bastian's not like them.
No, Dieter Bastian is not like them.
He's the nicest.
Although I think he secretly wants to be. Come on. Who wouldn't want to be part of Hans Gruber's group?
That's right. Team go around busting into high-rise buildings.
$650 million we're going to be sitting on a beach collecting 20%. Come on.
That's right.
Who wouldn't want that?
It'd be $650 billion today.
I know, right? All those bearer bonds, moving them. But what do you do with bearer bonds? Take them into a bank? People know you'd rip them off. They'll be like, are you the terrorist that ripped off Nakatomi? Did you take this stuff from them? Well, listen, gentlemen, I'm going to say good night. This has been a lovely conversation. We've geeked out. I don't even know if anyone's... Oh, there's still people here. I'd be like, this is the geekiest conversation I've had. I love it.
Oh, it's been fantastic. Well, I love your show because... it's a perfect time for me. Well, it's because I get home actually about 5:30 p.m. here, which is just after work. But it's usually just sort of I rock in, and this is why sometimes I'm thinking, can I get in? Can I get in? There's always good people getting in.
That's good. I mean, it's always good to have people. No, it's fun.
It's a perfect time for me because sometimes I miss Robservation because I'm driving to work, or or something,
Well, I've been spotty over the last 2 weeks because of Tango Shalom. I've had to do,
is
today.
That being released in Australia? Because I think.
Oh, dude, it is coming out in Australia. It's going to be in theaters, and it's part of a Jewish film. Hang on, let me find out. Now that you ask, yes, it's going to be playing all over the country in November.
Oh,
so you'll be able to see Tango Shalom in hang on, I'll let me find the information because I have to. One of the things that I have to do on the film is send it to everybody. So I am constantly.
No wonder your machine's overworked.
It is. I can't do it. Like when I'm sending things and downloading things, and somebody needs because I'm sending, the movie. And here I'll find out because I've got some information. Okay, it is the hang on. It is the Jewish International Film Festival at jiff.com.au. and it's going to be in cinemas in Australia in October and November of 2021. So we get Tango Shalom will have a limited theatrical release in the States beginning on the 3rd of September, and then on October, 27th or 29th, it begins a VOD run. So it's got a theatrical window for a little less than 60 days. And but it'll be in Australia in theaters in October, November. And they were interested in it a long time ago. So let's see if it has AU. Let's see if it's, I really haven't, what do you mean they can't find this server? Come on, man. Let's see if it'll show up.
Oh, here we are, venues. Oh, yeah, Classic Cinemas. Oh, the Lido, yeah. Actually, Lido Cinema is the one where I saw Body Melt.
Well, there you go.
So I know where that is.
Do they have a list of films that are playing there?
Not yet, I don't think. I'm just actually, Lido, GIF. Jewish International.
So there you go. But it is, I guess that's...
20th of October to the 24th of November is the film festival, so...
Yeah, so you'll be able to see it there. So you'll be able to go into a theater and see Tango Shalom in Melbourne. Which, by the way, I love.
I'll take some photos and give you a report.
Dude, you got to take some photos and video, because I'm going to be doing a special features for, hopefully. I mean, DVD is still the biggest physical media in the world, and it's hard sometimes for independent movies to get a Blu-ray release, but I've still, if not, I'm going to make my own. I shot a documentary already. I interviewed all the cast and stuff, so even if it doesn't show up in the physical media, because I don't have control over it necessarily, I will release my own documentary on the making of it. So,
why not? Why not?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I look. I have to go back and have a look at some of your documentaries, because I've got them probably on like my Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. I have to go back and have a look at them again.
Well, the ones that I think are the best are The Usual Suspects. If you've got the original DVD, that has the Blu-ray, they didn't port it over.
Which is
that was the first thing I produced myself, and then my Tron documentary, The Making of Tron, that it's on the Blu-ray and it's also on the original DVD.
I got the DVD, I think.
And then Superman Returns. Those are probably my favorites. And then of course all the Star Trek stuff, Star Trek: The Next Generation and Star Trek Enterprise.
I have to go back and check out the Tron one.
Yeah, if it's on the disc. Yeah, it's 88 minutes long, and it was nominated in 2002. They used to have an award show like the Academy Awards for DVD special features, and in 2003 at the award show, I was nominated for 2 awards because I had produced the X-Men 2 disc and I had done Tron. So Tron was up for Best Retrospective Documentary. It lost to MASH, Robert Altman's MASH, and that's fine. It's more star power. And
yeah, I've got Tron. It looks like it must be on disc 2 of my DVD.
It's just called The Making of Tron.
Yeah.
And obviously it's in standard def because there wasn't high def back then. But I'm really proud of that because it took us a long time to get everybody. David Warner's agent kept turning us down, so we didn't get David Warner. But we have Bruce Boxleitner and Cindy Morgan.
Bruce is such a nice guy. I met him years and years ago during Babylon 5's...
So nice. And Jeff Bridges was really nice too. And Barnard Hughes was like 91 years old when we interviewed him. And he's pretty funny in the documentary. So, yeah. Very proud of all that work that we did.
Well, fantastic. Well, thanks again, Rob.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you both. Always good to see you, S-Beam, and I love the progress on me that you're making.
It's getting there.
It's good. It's good.
Is this a craze that has developed, that people are making figures of yourself or Doomcock or Gary or
and as Justin, I love it, man. I mean, look, Kevin Feige has his own hot toy figure. They made a hot toy figure of him, and I think shouldn't we all?
We should all have one, so you can stroke it lovingly at night.
Yeah, or you can put pins in it if you want. Like,
no, I do the one. I try to do the ones that Hot Toys for sure ain't making.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
That's what I try to go for.
Yeah, it's true. That's what Jazz Inc. does. Hey, you're not going to make that Millennium Falcon cockpit? We will. You don't want to make that 66 Batmobile? We will. Well, gents, let me say goodnight to you both and see if I can get some other people to come on. But this has been a
Good night to you, S-Beam.
lovely
Nice to meet
conversation.
you.
Yes.
And
Kelvin, S-Beam, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on Midnighter. This has been delightful. What a geeky conversation. And the chat, I hope you enjoyed that. And, yeah, the PGS. And let's see who we can get into the show. Hang on. I'm going to set in some links. And, oh, look who's here. Stubble McShave is here. Hello, Stubble McShave. And can you hear me? Yeah, Stubble can hear me. Well, that's good. Let me put Stubble in. And our friend Tim Possible is waiting. Tim, I believe, on his YouTube channel just passed 200 subscribers, which is a feat. But hang on. Let me put Stubble in. I'll put Stubble in. I think that, Stubble, do you have any new information? There's got to be some new information that came out today, right? No? Ooh, well, hang on. Don't wait. Don't say that yet. I got to put you into the show so you can tell people that. And that's exciting. Oops. As people wait for me, like, come on, Rob, can't you do this faster? I can't. It's 1:46 in the morning, and I'm exhausted. What am I supposed to do? It's amazing I'm even doing this show tonight, but that's okay. You don't need to hear my tale of woe. Let me get you in, Stubble. You are in, and our own Kylo Ren, Tim. Let me make sure I can get him in too. And there he is. There is our bodybuilder friend Tim, who's looking very blue tonight. And I'm going to put him in the show too. Are you in a tanning bed, Tim? Is that a personal tanning bed? Is that what I'm seeing here? All right, we'll see. Let's see. First of all, hey, so please welcome Tim Possible and Stubble McShave, our friend Stubble McShave, to the show. So first of all, let me ask you, I got Stubble, you got to give us the update. Any new information about the Wheel of Time?
The only new information is that there's a trailer dropping before the end of summer.
But you don't know when? That's like 90 days. Or no, it's 45 days.
Yeah. At JordanCon, the showrunner was on one of the panels via video and gave a little bit of information.
This is the longest tease of anything ever. I mean, how long has this show been in production? 8,000 years?
They started shooting in September 2019, but then COVID hit, got in total delayed 1 year, two delays. So
doesn't that frustrate you? I mean, I used to think blue balls was a problem when I was a teenager. Now it's No Time, or it's No Time to Die. I don't think I've waited for so long for anything I've wanted to see than No Time to Die. But you've waited longer for Wheel of Time.
Yeah, but they take their time. They make it right. I hope.
Well, as long as it's good. I mean, I'm all about it being good. But now, what about you, Tim? How are things? I mean, congratulations on 200 subscribers.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, thank you, man. I'm really excited, actually. No, I have like a big group range of guests coming on. I'm just going to say I've got a little bit of improv coming with like fellow people that like that kind of stuff. So my buddy Snowdub had something pretty exciting. But so I don't want to spoil stuff. Like, so we're going to have, I'm going to play a special clip, like announcing whatever. And anyone that knows me that's been watching me, I got banned from YouTube for like 3 months. Warner Brothers banned me from YouTube for doing a reaction video, and then I came back, and then my channel's been growing. And so I'm really excited to come back and integrate with people, and I've just been really happy and to interact with you, Rob, and other creators, and that's why I like TikTok too. Is like I get to meet people I would never actually meet. I meet people in the UK all the time, and other countries and stuff like that. I'll never actually meet, but it's like nice to connect with people to get with like their different perspectives and how they talk. Like even if I'm modding or talking with them on live streams. So like this, I'm gonna have like some different guests on, and I'm really excited to have it. And so the way I'm gonna start out with is just like introduce myself, but I'm gonna like have like a video show there, and I'm gonna show like my short film, which many people haven't seen, and then I'm gonna have just we're gonna talk about the three most like everyone has their favorite comedies, which is universal. Because
I gotta stop you. Why did Warner Brothers ban you? How did you get banned? What were you reviewing?
Okay. Okay. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist person, but I did the Snyder Cut. I was doing Snyder Cut videos, and I was getting a lot of views, based on my sub count, I was getting a lot more views. And they banned me on there, and I was like, they would ban me for like a day, and I would dispute it, and they'd give it back to me. And then they banned me for a couple weeks, and then I disputed, they give it back to me. And then they waited like a little bit longer, I disputed, they give it back to me. So this was the 3-month process. So eventually I had to respond to Google and tell them like directly through email. And then I got it within 24 hours. And I was looking at like, I watch a lot of Campia stuff. And there's that one dude that his whole channel is based, he's like Ann Campia's son. Blended. Do you know what I'm talking about? One dude that has like almost 1 million followers. That's all he does. That's his whole channel. He's like Canadian, and then what Anne is something else, and then he's the mix of them. And every time he goes on Campia's channel, it's like, you would be my son if me and Anne had a kid. So basically, yeah. So I was following his format on doing reaction videos, and I was pointing that out. I would set direct links, and I would set direct links to other reaction videos. But I think because I was like a smaller channel, they just took me down. So like it was during the hype of like the Snyder Cut before it came out also. So I'm not going to make any like further looks into it, but like, I told them, I was like, I read all the guidelines. You keep it very vague. You don't tell exactly what I did wrong or whatever. You say, these are the guidelines. You have to guess why you got like canceled, or not canceled, but why you got taken off. So, YouTube can be very vague on that. So eventually I reached out to Google and I got my channel back. But like, to now, they should have somewhat of a format based on what type of video you're doing, especially for reaction videos, right? So now when I did a reaction video, it's based on the companies too. I did it for the Nelk Boys or whatever. They're a huge channel. They have like 5 million subs or 4 million subs, huge, but they're not Warner Brothers. So now, like, after I got banned, I noticed they changed their format. They changed it a little bit, and so it was a unique time. It was around like February, March. They came out with like some sort of new guidelines. I don't know, like maybe Rob, you wouldn't like fill into it because you don't usually do reaction videos, but reaction videos, like if you have a good reaction, you're going to get a lot of like views.
Yeah, I mean,
I can really grow your channels.
There's a lot more that I could do. Like people have always asked me, like, why don't you do these kind of videos that would grow your channel more than you do?
You do have good reaction. You're like, dude, bro. You know what I mean? Sorry. But you do.
It's not something I've done. By the way, Brandon Valenzuela says, Tim is what happens when Kylo Ren gets a membership to 24-Hour Fitness. I take that as a compliment. I mean, your
Thanks,
film
man.
was
I
about
appreciate
bodybuilding and all that. I really like that. So,
Yeah.
is that what you're going to show? You're going to show your short film?
Yeah, I'm gonna show my short film or whatever, and I might show the Snyder Cut version because I did the voiceover for it, so it might be seem a little bit more personable. I was on limited time or whatever; it was last second, but there was a little like Snyder Cut controversy during it, so like I would really like to like show the real thing, and if I get the shot opportunity later on, I want to really show what I was going for because this was almost like a trailer, to be honest.
Well,
I feel like a lot of people didn't get it. Like, well, they didn't get my message, of course, but it has to be universal. Like we talked before the other night about these superhero films. It's like, yeah, they're mad at like what happened with Black Widow, but it's like not everyone's gonna have that same conception or whatever, like that superhero book coming in there, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make it universal. And that's what I was realizing. It's like, aren't people getting my vision? I had to change some of the soundboard or whatever. But yeah, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I was going to say, I want to ask, so Darth Plato writes in and says, billionaires may be what kings were in the age of exploration and finance the exploration of space. I fully expect the future of space flight to become a competitive market. Let me ask you this, Stubble. Obviously, today is the anniversary of the moon landing for us. It's the 52nd anniversary of 1969's moon landing on the moon. And we've got Jeff Bezos going up, and with Blue Origin. As a Swede, how do you feel about the space program, and do you think it's someplace we should be spending our money?
I think we always should broaden our horizons. If we never did that, we would still be living in caves somewhere. Someone have to take the first step. It's always a question about how much money, how much worthwhile something is. But you have to try. You have to try to explore, try to push the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You may get things you didn't expect that are positive, like all the inventions we've gotten through, like side effects of space exploration. So I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. It's just you have to have a motivation to do it. Earlier it was a political motivation to beat the Russians, so to speak.
Right.
But now it's very much ego-driven by rich people, I think. But there's still a motivation there, and I think it will, in the end, benefit mankind.
I do too. What about you, Tim? How do you feel about space exploration?
I think it's a very new concept. I don't think people like to. I don't want to give like a commercial answer, but I feel like I don't know enough to answer the question. To be fair,
Right.
But
that's fair. It's good that you say that.
Yeah, but to anything, like me, I'm more of like I come off more of an introvert, but like I'm more of a guy that just wonders about things. I'm never going to take things at like face value until I think things are played out. I'm not going to be closed to that the new idea of Elon Musk like going out there. So I believe in exploration, and maybe like if I got the opportunity, maybe I would do it. So that's what I got to say. Yeah.
I mean, hey, and he's going to launch in 4 hours from now.
Holy crap! Are you doing it live, or is he?
No.
Live?
I have to go to bed. It's, as a matter of fact, that I've got to bring this show to an end only because I have so much. I wish I didn't have to sleep, but I've got the next week delivering this movie is taking up all my time, and it's it's 5 years, and I get to get it out the door, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Which is.
Can I ask you one more last question?
Of course.
All right. So what was my film really? It wasn't about bodybuilding. What was it about? Like, what do you think?
I think it was about how you perceive yourself. And it was all about you. It was a quest to understand who you really are. And also in doing that, you're trying to explain who you are to other people that might not understand what it is your experience of the world and what you were trying to show people who you are as a person, what's going on in your mind, why you do what you do, what meant something to you, and how do you define yourself. I thought your movie was pretty honest and raw, actually. I thought it showed a lot of courage. I mean, you're putting yourself out there, and I thought that's a rare thing to do. So there was a couple of movies that I thought, like there was a movie that was made by a trans woman, and the way she shot the film, you only saw her feet and her legs as she was having a conversation. She was trying to have a date, and that was another film kind of like yours. It was very raw, and it was very honest, and it was very real. And I thought that was I like that. I mean, that's what filmmaking is all about.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
No, I don't. Thank you for putting it. We're still not done yet, but it's funny. The one thing about the film festival that bummed me out was how I wanted to get so many more views, not for subscriptions, but just for the work that people did. And not a lot of people. I would have thought more people would have watched the movies than did, and it was frustrating for me to not have more views because people took the time. There was a lot of people that did a lot of work, like yourself. I mean, you went out and made that movie, and you started it and got it shot and got it done. I got a lot of people write me letters that explain to me why their movies wouldn't be finished, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. So
I mean, it was a hard time. Like it was during the pandemic, so like anyone that got it done, like it was particularly hard because it was hard convincing my friend to shoot it. And then, like, I live in this small town where I have to, I can't have this extra noise in the background. Like, I had these, these certain type of trucks in the background. It's like, come on, dude, I'm trying to shoot it. It's like, and they just kept driving around because I was in certain costumes. So,
right.
I get it.
Yeah. Well, so let's see. We've got Kevin Wellborn, I always see Kevin. It's Kelvin, who came from Melbourne. Kelvin from Melbourne says, great show. Thank you, Rob. Well, I appreciate that, Kelvin. Always good to have you on. I want to see a video of your entire collection now. Well, let me ask you this, Stubble. So before I let you guys go, before I end this show, so you Wheel of Time, we might see a trailer by the end of the summer. That's what they said?
Before the end of summer. So
okay.
So maybe at the Comic-Con presentation
That's good.
weekend, but it may be a few weeks. Who knows?
Now, can you go to movies yet in Sweden?
Yeah.
Oh, you can. Okay. So,
but I haven't yet.
Yeah. See, I don't know where we're going. I mean, it's really frustrating. Like with Tango Shalom, COVID might kill our theatrical release, which would be a damn shame. Like I've never thought, wow, I worked on this low budget indie movie for 5 years, and to get a distribution deal at all is amazing, but COVID might kill our theatrical release, and I never thought I'd be in that position before. But story of my career.
Yeah.
So
we have a better faith in our institutions here, so we are better, a higher degree are taking the vaccine here,
right,
than in the US. So we're at around 75% of the adult population right now.
Yeah. So yeah, in America, it's what I find so strange about where we're at here in America. There is such this distrust, and at the end of the day, I mean, if people don't get vaccinated, that means the disease continues to flourish and mutate and change. And I understand how Americans are couching it like, well, it's a personal liberty issue. That may very well be, but the fact is, your personal liberty doesn't necessarily supersede anybody else's, does it?
You
know,
I think of it almost like you're doing it just as much for others as you're doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me chime in here. I'm not going to be divisive. Look at it like with any medication that comes out. Look at a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. How many defective products come out before that? And then when the defective product, like a Samsung phone, blows up on an airplane, You got to ask yourself that question. You can't blame Americans for thinking that way. I'm on that side. I mean, I know I'm a younger guy. Both my parents got the vaccination. They're both older, but you can never stick people in that box. When you stop asking questions, that's the problem with America.
Oh, I
because
don't.
that's the reason why we left came to America. It was like, they got ridiculous. I'm not saying this is like the same thing. I'm not like drastic or whatever, but I'm trying to keep an open mind about it, right?
Right, but the thing is, these kinds of vaccines, it's not like they just made up mRNA vaccines for this pandemic. These are vaccines that were in process, and they've been doing this research for years with COVID and SARS-CoV for a long time. And
What do you mean years? COVID hasn't been around for years, though.
Yes, it has. Various other iterations of COVID have been. And SARS and those things. So they've been doing this research before for a while. Now it's not.
Yeah, but what my point is, like the COVID we're dealing with. You point out various COVIDs. Not all the COVIDs are going to be the same.
No, they're not.
Right?
They're not. But I mean, look. The fact is, hundreds of millions of people. Well, maybe not hundreds. Tens of millions of people have received this vaccination. For the most part, it's worked. And yes, it is true. This is an experimental vaccine. It won't even be. The FDA isn't finished looking at it until 2023. So we're all in the midst of a great big experiment. That much is true. But for the most part, if you're looking at it, it's working. The proof's in the pudding. And there are breakthrough cases. And is it perfect? No. Is anything perfect? No.
No.
But I mean, the thing is, it is still a virulent strain of a disease. It's a gain of function disease, and it is gaining function and mutating. And what I find interesting about it is we now are in a position where we've got two different tracks of people. We have a vaccine available, and there are people that are saying, no, I'm not going to take this. And now our hospitalizations are getting to be predominantly unvaccinated people, and they're younger. And this is something that is new. It's being driven by unvaccinated people, which is changing the nature of the pandemic. It's turning into something else. So, I mean, And I again, it's like
I get what you're saying.
I understand the idea of personal liberty, but in a pandemic, personal liberty. When is the body politic more important? And if you don't want to get the disease, if you don't want to get something and you do come down with it, so then you become a burden to our healthcare system because you don't get vaccinated. How is that a good thing? And is it helping?
There's always a risk with everything. Everything you do in life carries a risk with it.
Yeah, I mean, anything new is like... Good. Sorry.
They have tested this now for how long? 1.5 years or something. And they haven't there are some cases of things that happens, but they're like 1 in 10 million, 1 in 100 million, or I don't know the number.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have been vaccinated that are getting COVID.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing that worries me.
But the vaccination is helping, is mitigating what's happening to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is that way, and I know people are upset. But whether you're getting mumps, measles, and polio, and I mean, I've had vaccinations since I was a little kid. And what's frustrating is the life expectancy of human beings in the 20th century went up 30 years. Life expectancy in 1899 was about 50. And by the time you get to the end of the 20th century, it's past 80. And that's all because of our technology, our medical technology. And it's shown over a century to work. And there isn't a lot of evidence in the contrary that shows that vaccination programs don't work. We have 100 years of our medical technology that has worked. So I understand people's reticence and trepidation over getting a vaccination, but I mean, now we were beating COVID. We were bringing the cases down, and the people that are vaccinated, it was coming down. Now it's going back up again. And it's going back up again because people have actively said, nope, I'm not going to get the vaccine. And I'm not saying anybody has to. It's their choice. But if there's a vaccine available, here's my question to you. If there's a vaccine available, you choose not to get the vaccine, and you come down with COVID, should you be hospitalized?
But then you have to ask the question that if you take the vaccine and you get it, see, like, it's too divisive, which I'm bringing up. I'm someone that studied dietetics, that's working my NAS degree. My sister's a nurse. So, like, the problem is that people respond different to
Yes, they do.
stimuli or medicine. And what I want to bring up is the fact that too many people, the biggest problem, 68% of America, or what is 60%, are obese or overweight. It means you're like overweight is 30, you're 30 pounds overweight. So what I want to bring up is we're not overweight. We're undernourished and overfed. That's an entirely different conversation.
I completely agree with you. You're absolutely right about that.
We're getting the calories, but you're not getting your nutrients. So that's why you constantly got to eat. When you eat sweets, it's not doing anything for you. You're getting too many sugars, and your sugar just drops. You're not getting any energy balance. So that's what people don't want to talk about. All of our bodies don't work the same way. You overdose on a certain product. So that, for me, that's studied kind of like in that realm. That's what goes in my head. I'm just like, okay, so all our bodies don't react. We had the conversation earlier, but I don't want to keep you in longer, Rob. I know you gotta do your thing. You're busy, and so
this is a good conversation. I was thoroughly enjoying that.
Yeah. No, I know it's good. It's a good night for you, man.
No, it was all good,
bro.
But let me ask you both this to end on the we have the new frontier of space opening up. Are you both, the next 5 years, are you optimistic or pessimistic about the world and where it's going? What do you think, Stubble?
I think we've gone in a wrong way for quite some time in the world. I think the pendulum will swing back, and we'll see some positive things in the next decade or two. I hope.
What about you, Tim?
Okay, I'm a optimistic person, but I think it's going to go in cycles. It's going to be moving a greater form a little bit for maybe 2 years or whatever, but then it's going to spin and cycle, and the world's going to go to crap. I have been a realist here. That's it's going to get a little bit better. We're going to cover based on what happened, and I don't think we're going to come together. Yeah. Someone that doesn't have kids, and getting to the age where I'm going to have kids, I'm really scared for them to, be born in this life. I know, Rob, you have Elise, awesome woman, and she has like awesome kids or whatever. I've seen them on the streams. Take your mess with your body.
Yeah, that's all. I'm the butt of the joke around here. No. I love watching your channel, but no, I honestly don't think so, man. I think it's going to get a little bit better, but then it's going to go like far worse. I try to be optimistic, and I think what I'm going to do is just focus on my dreams, and I'm making a major move sometime in the fall, which I'll talk about on my channel or whatever. Yeah, that's what I think. Well, it's good. I mean, look, I've always been more optimistic than pessimistic. I mean, my whole life, being raised a Jew, I met a lot of people that were in concentration camps, and that's sort of my baseline is that, oh, well, no one's coming to my house telling me I no longer own my house and that I'm no longer a human being and carting me off to a concentration camp and gassing me to death. So I figure, I'm doing all right.
Okay. Okay, this is what I'm planning, everyone. All right, look at it like a bottle of Mountain Dew. It says 0 sugars. And then it says like 4 carbs. So therefore, you look at there's no sugars in that bottle. Well,
not entirely true.
No, carbs are sugar. Carbs are sugar. So then you're getting sugar. If you're a diabetic, you got to look at that. If you're someone more like more prone to that, it's going to spike you up because carbs are sugar. And that's the last thing I want to point out. So like in anything food that says 0 sugar, and then like when we talk about nicotine and cigarettes that entice people that make things that basically nicotines make you addicted to cigarettes. So in foods, there like especially sweets, there are certain things, not only sugars, there are certain ingredients that make you eat that. If you don't believe that, like find how addicting for someone that's overweight, why people are so overweight in America. So just look at that for a second, and yeah, that's the last thing I want to point out.
All right, well, gentlemen, I'm going to take my leave of this show. I'm going to end this show. It was delightful to see you both. I want to thank you both for coming on. Love having you guys around, so thank you for being here tonight. And I want to say thanks to S-Beam and Kelvin all the way from Melbourne, Australia, to be part of the show. Thank you so much. And I will bid you both a good evening. So thank you to them for coming on. Always nice to talk to Stubble. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm going to do a Wheel of Time review show with Stubble. I'm going to make him do it. And it's going to be fun. And to Tim, he's got his own channel. Go subscribe to him. He's starting that whole building your YouTube channel. It's always a tough thing to do, and I think it's actually an act of optimism to start a YouTube channel. You're building an audience. You've got access to the world. So kudos to any of you who do that. So good to Tim for starting that, and S-Beam, and to Kelvin and Stubble. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. I want to thank my moderating staff, the Richards here, which is always nice to see the Richard. And I don't know if anyone else is here tonight, to be honest. I thought there was, but I don't know. I can't go back that far. But I want to say thank you to my moderating staff for being the great blue wrenches that you are. I want to say thank you to everybody who supports the channel through Super Chats and Tips. Thank you for that. And if you want to write me a letter, you can do that free of charge. You can go to the Burnettwork.net website. And, of course, by the way, look up the Designing Hollywood podcast. Something else I'm doing new as if I didn't have enough to do. But put on by Martika and also Marilyn Vance, who is one of my favorite costume designers of the 80s and 90s. I'm happy to do that for her. It's a lot of fun. And I talked to Donald Moat this week, who is a makeup artist who's worked with people like Mark Wahlberg. And now he's working with Oscar Isaac. He was on Dune with Oscar Isaac. Now he's working on Moon Knight. Really interesting conversation. Check that out. And, of course, if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram, Robert Meyer Burnett. You can find me on YouTube here, obviously, at the Burnettwork, or find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. And I do leave my DMs open. And if you want to find me, I'm an easy man to find, as Willem Dafoe said in To Live and Die in L.A. And on that note, I'm going to go pass out after I look at my print master for Tango Shalom. I was sent by my sound designer as we spoke on this show. So that's been never ending. I mean, by the way, today I went further west today. I drove out to West LA. It was the furthest west I'd been in 18 months. I passed La Brea. My God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I went past La Brea. I'm like, I haven't been past La Brea since 2019. It was crazy today, so that was a lot of fun. But anyway, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. Thanks for joining me here on the Midnighter. I will be back on the John Campea show tomorrow. I hope I'm going to do a Robservations. I don't know. It depends on, I need to get, I have to get the rating of the movie in various forms that I can use. The Tango Shalom rating. It's rated PG-13 for minor drug use and suggestive situations. What? I mean, Temple of Doom is PG-13. Like, really? No one rips anyone's heart out, but all right. Thank you all for being here. And on that note, I would say to everyone, Have a better night.